Earlier this week, there were tense scenes in the Oval Office between US President Donald Trump and his guest, South Africa's leader Cyril Ramaphosa. Well, Mr. Trump says Mr. Ramaphosa's government has been carrying out what he has described as genocide against South Africa's white farmers. Well,
Death.
U.S. President Donald Trump made several false statements and misrepresented some facts during a contentious Oval Office meeting on Wednesday with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa.
Did you know Donald Trump recently claimed white genocide is happening in South Africa? Donald Trump has once again sparked global controversy this time by declaring that white South Africans are facing genocide. But fact-checkers and historians are calling this claim dangerously misleading. So what's really happening in South Africa? Let's find out. Former President Donald Trump has reignited a contentious debate by alleging that a genocide of white people is occurring in South Africa, specifically targeting white farmers. The claim, which Trump reiterated during a recent meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, has drawn sharp criticism and fact checks from experts who dispute its validity.
Death.
U.S. President Donald Trump made several false statements and misrepresented some facts during a contentious Oval Office meeting on Wednesday with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Here's a look at some of the claims made by Trump about the alleged persecution of South Africa's white minority. Number 1. There is a genocide of white farmers in South Africa.
Persecution or genocide going on.
This conspiracy theory has been propagated by some fringe groups of white South Africans since the end of apartheid in 1994.
During a May 21st meeting at the White House, Trump insisted that white South African farmers are being systematically killed because of their race. "We have thousands of stories talking about it," he stated, before directing staff to dim the lights and play a video depicting white crosses along a roadside. "These are burial sites," Trump claimed. "Over 1,000 white farmers." His spokesperson, Caroline Levitt, later reinforced the claim, suggesting that the U.S. should grant refugee status to approximately 60 white Afrikaner farmers from South Africa in May 2025. This proposal comes just months after Trump suspended admissions for refugees from other nations, many of whom are non-white, through the U.S. refugee program. President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was present at the meeting, firmly rejected Trump's allegations. "There is no genocide taking place in South Africa," Ramaphosa stated, emphasizing that while farm violence is a serious issue, it is not racially motivated nor part of a deliberate campaign against white farmers. Independent fact-checkers and human rights organizations have also challenged Trump's claims. Data from South African police and research groups indicate that farm murders, while tragic, affect people of all races and are part of broader crime trends, rather than a targeted racial extermination. The term white genocide has been widely discredited by scholars and international observers. Here's what the evidence shows. 1. Farm murders affect all races. While violent crime in South Africa remains high, statistics do not support the claim that white farmers are being singled out. The South African Police Service, SAPS, does not classify farm attacks by race, and available data suggests victims include both black and white farmers.
Persecution or genocide going on.
This conspiracy theory has been propagated by some fringe groups of white South Africans since the end of apartheid in 1994. It's been circulating in global far-right chat rooms for at least a decade.
Second, no systematic campaign. Experts, including those from the African National Congress, ANC, and independent watchdogs, assert that farm violence is linked to general criminality, land disputes, and socio-economic factors, not a state-sanctioned effort to eliminate white South Africans. 3. Historical context. The white genocide narrative has been pushed by far-right groups for years, often exaggerating isolated incidents to fuel racial tensions. Mainstream media and fact-checking organizations, including Reuters and AFP, have repeatedly debunked these claims. Trump's suggestion to admit white South African farmers as refugees has raised eyebrows, particularly given his administration's previous restrictions on refugee admissions from other conflict zones. The U.S. has historically granted refugee status to individuals fleeing war, persecution, and violence regardless of race. Critics argue that selectively prioritizing one group based on disputed claims undermines the integrity of the refugee system. While Trump's statements have reignited discussions about South Africa's complex racial and land reform issues, the evidence does not support the existence of a white genocide. Accurate reporting is crucial in such sensitive matters, as misinformation can inflame tensions and distort public understanding. The term white genocide has resurfaced in political discourse, often used by far-right extremists to push a baseless conspiracy theory that claims a deliberate, often Jewish-led, plot is underway to eradicate the white race. While this idea has gained traction in certain circles, historians and experts widely dismiss it as a dangerous myth with deep ties to racism, nativism, and violent extremism. The roots of this conspiracy theory stretch back to 19th century America, when nativist movements fueled by xenophobia claimed that immigrants, particularly German and Irish Catholics, posed a threat to white Protestant dominance. These fears evolved over time, morphing into broader racial paranoia. One of the most influential early texts promoting this ideology was Madison Grant's 1916 book, The Passing of the Great Race, which warned of race suicide due to immigration and racial mixing. Shockingly, Adolf Hitler reportedly praised the book, calling it his Bible. The specific term white genocide gained prominence among white supremacists after the 1960s civil rights movement, which they viewed as an attack on white power. The movement's success, along with the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, which ended racial quotas and allowed more non-European immigrants into the U.S., further fueled extremist rhetoric. In the 1970s, former physics professor William Pierce, a prominent neo-Nazi, wrote The Turner Diaries, a violent fictional manifesto depicting a racist revolution against a government allegedly controlled by Jews. The book, later dubbed the Bible of the Racist Right by the FBI, inspired real-world terrorism, including the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing by Timothy McVeigh. In 1988, David Lane, a member of the neo-Nazi group The Order, modeled after Pierce's fictional organization, penned the White Genocide Manifesto. In it, he claimed that Jews orchestrated a global conspiracy to destroy the white race through media control, immigration, and racial integration. Lane called for the violent creation of a whites-only homeland in North America, a rallying cry still echoed by white supremacists today. Despite being thoroughly debunked, the white genocide myth persists due to many factors, some of which are political manipulation, upon which some figures exploit racial fears to galvanize supporters, often using exaggerated or false claims about demographic change. Then also, online radicalization on social media algorithms and fringe platforms amplify extremist content, spreading conspiracy theories to new audiences. And lastly, some historical revisionism. White supremacists distort history to frame racial progress as oppression against white people. Experts warn that this news is not just theoretical, it has inspired real-world violence, from mass shootings to domestic terrorist plots. The white genocide conspiracy is not just a fringe belief, but it's a dangerous ideology that has fueled hatred and violence for decades. As debates over race, immigration, and identity continue, accurate reporting and fact-checking are essential to countering extremist narratives and preventing further harm. A significant portion of former President Donald Trump's voter base holds a controversial belief that a powerful group within the U.S. is actively working to replace native-born Americans, particularly white Americans, with immigrants and people of color who align with their political agenda. According to research, 61% of Trump supporters subscribe to this idea, often referred to as replacement theory, a modern iteration of the long-debunked white genocide conspiracy. This belief is not just a fringe ideology, but has fueled real-world violence, influenced political rhetoric, and shaped immigration policies in the U.S.
Africa has been on the opposite side of so many issues in the UN between the U.S. And other nations. They're always aligned with the non-aligned groups. Even Nelson Mandela was on the other side of the U.S. on a lot of these issues, but that's not a reason to stop talking. And I think South Africa wants to kind of repair the breach.
The dangerous implications of replacement theory became starkly visible during the January 6, 2021 Capitol insurrection, where many rioters expressed fears of being replaced. Similarly, the infamous 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, saw white supremacists chanting, "You will not replace us," a slogan rooted in the same conspiracy. Worse yet, this ideology has been linked to deadly attacks, including the 2018 massacre at Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue, where 11 Jewish worshippers were killed, and the 2019 El Paso Walmart shooting, which targeted Latinos and left 23 dead. Prominent right-wing figures, such as media personality Tucker Carlson and billionaire Elon Musk, have further mainstreamed these ideas by suggesting that Democrats are deliberately encouraging mass immigration to dilute the political influence of white voters. Trump himself has amplified these fears, recently invoking baseless claims of white genocide in South Africa, a narrative that, while seemingly unrelated to U.S. politics, serves to stoke his supporters' anxieties about demographic change at home. Trump's focus on immigration as an existential threat has been a cornerstone of his political strategy since his 2015 campaign, playing a pivotal role in his 2024 election victory. By framing non-white immigrants as a danger to both physical safety and economic stability, replacement theory has been used to justify aggressive immigration crackdowns, including mass deportations and restrictive refugee policies. But how is it possible that Trump doesn't cause any controversy? Let us know in the comments what you think of this proposal, and if you want to stay on top of this, smash that like and subscribe button.